I'm going to call to order. You stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Matt, I know you passed around the minutes, so we want to approve those minutes from last meeting.
Yes, everybody should have a copy of the minutes. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look them over. Thank you, John, for that correction. I'm sorry I missed you in the roster. Yeah, I know. You were in the text. You just weren't in the initial list. So, yeah,
I'll make a motion to approve.
here we go.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, great. All right, number 4, I think that we just kind of had a little bit of a pre-presentation upstairs. I think that this will be really good for everybody and it was very helpful for us too. So we do have a presentation of two members from DCED that specialize in kind of this exact things with home rule and optional plans. So I know we want to hook that up and then have that going on right here, right behind us.
They should be on. And can you guys hear us, Kathy or Bethany?
John, am I killing you?
Can you just say something so I...
We
Okay.
can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Very good.
Okay. Tom, do you want me to
Yeah, go
make
ahead,
an
Matt,
introduction?
I can't hear them.
Can you not hear us?
Okay, now you're back.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, so we have a couple representatives from the Department of Community and Economic Development. I'll let them both introduce themselves from the Governor's Center for Local Government. But just to give us a brief presentation on what DCED can provide if we need resources, and then take a few questions, I guess, if we have any from the committee. So I'm going to introduce Kathy Rosdeck, who is the Executive Director, and I'll let her finish introducing herself and then introduce Bethany.
Good evening. Really happy to be with you virtually tonight. As Matt said, I'm the Executive Director for the Governor's Center for Local Government Services. We are a bureau within the Department of Community and Economic Development for the state, and it's in our name. What we do, we provide support to all 2,555 municipalities and 67 counties. We do that through a number of programs. I have a short presentation that will help explain all of the things that we do, which will be more than you may need from us right now, but I'd love to share with you all of the different programs that we have to offer. And before I get into the presentation, I'll turn it over to Bethany.
Hi everyone, I'm Bethany Williams. I'm a program manager within the center working for Kathy. I focus specifically on our strategic management planning program and Act 47 program, which deals with municipal financial operational reviews and recommendations. It is also funding sources to help with technical assistance for difficult questions like the ones you guys are facing. We also provide direct technical assistance with the folks on staff who have different areas of expertise, sometimes focusing on home rule and government study commissions and governmental transitions, as well as mergers and consolidations and a host of all other kinds of things. And so I'm glad to be here with you guys tonight to see how we can be most beneficial to you.
Thanks, Bethany. I'll go ahead and get started. Can everyone see my screen? I can't see you, so someone's going to have to tell me whether or not I'm sharing correctly.
Kathy, no, we're seeing that in presentation mode, so not the full screen slide.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can. Someone tell me how to fix that. I've done that before. Bethany, I think I have to go here.
Yeah, I think if you just start the presentation from the top tab.
That's it.
Okay, excellent. Now I can see it. Okay, that's how I know. All right. We'll go over the very long name. You already know who we are. And the strength, I always like to say the strength of our center is our team. This is a representation of most of the people that represent the Governor's Center for Local Government Services. We are, as Bethany mentioned, a one-stop shop for all things local government. And in order to do that, we have to have a team. We have 31 full-time staff, and we also use peer consultants for a number of functions. So we'll talk a little bit about peers. Peers are part-time professionals in their field of municipal government, police, fire, and EMS. All that team that you saw there, they are divvied up amongst our 6 regions of DCD. You, as Mill Creek Township, sit in the Northwest, and you are represented by our office by Mary Amon, which is our local government specialist, and we also have 2 planners, Joy and John, our planning specialists, as well as Zach Norwood. He sort of dwells, we call him the Midwest, because he sort of hovers between the Northwest and the Southwest. But we have planning specialists and local government specialists in each one of our regions, so we can give hands-on support to our municipalities. And as I mentioned, we have 2,555. That is actually down a little bit from last year because we had some mergers of some municipalities. You sit within the larger group of about 1,452 second-class townships, but we also support the work of counties. I would say second-class cities. First-class Philadelphia doesn't really need our help, but we rarely get calls about them, but we do help second and third-class cities often, and boroughs are a big part of the work that we do. And we do this through both financial and technical assistance. I mentioned we are DCD, and what I usually tell people is we're not the group that brings big checks. That's the other part of, that's the E side of DCD. We're the C side. So we bring mostly technical expertise and with some financial support as necessary. And we do that, we really focus on our keystone programs are around financial support and recovery, as well as planning. I mentioned our peers. We have we call them peer assistants. Actually, I think we changed the name just recently because we've been revamping that program. And what we do with peers is peers are either retired or currently active managers, borough managers, municipal managers, finance directors, ex-fire chiefs, police chiefs, public works director. And so what we'll do is, at no cost to municipalities, we will, who might need some support, either in training a new manager, or if they're thinking through how do we better supply fire services with disparate departments, we can bring a peer in to advise municipalities on how to do that. So our peer program is quite robust, and we have about 25 peers that we rely on to work on about 40 different projects throughout the year. Our key, what we're most known for, is the unfun part of our work, which is financial recovery. Act 47, so municipalities who are experiencing acute financial distress will utilize our Act 47 program to help them sort of get out of Act 47 and right the ship financially. And so that is a big part of what we do. Fortunately, there's not a lot of municipalities that are in Act 47 currently, but we do have that as a significant part of our program, and our specialists are versed in all things Act 47. As a sort of a precursor program to help municipalities perhaps stay out of Act 47, our sort of most robust program that is used often is strategic management planning, STAMP. Right now, City of Erie is they're going through a STAMP process. Mill Creek did it 8 years ago, maybe, went through the strategic management process. I believe it helped pay for a zoning rewrite, perhaps your comprehensive plan. So strategic management plan follows sort of the Act 47 framework without the heavy oversight, and then allows municipalities to, over the next 5 years, implement the findings of that strategic management plan. So it is a very highly subscribed program, and a lot of municipalities use it. We also have a couple of other funding programs, MAP, Municipal Assistance Program. I'm sure Mill Creek is probably tapped into the MAP program. A lot of communities use MAP. It's a grant program, 50% match. A lot of communities use MAP to help fund zoning rewrites, feasibility studies, comprehensive plans, shared services. We also run a small local government capital project loan program. I talked about shared services. We support a lot of regional police services and regional fire and emergency medical services, usually through a feasibility study of whether or not multi-municipalities could merge those services and determining if that would be cost effective, and then working with them to do just that if it is. We also have a robust planning team. I mentioned John and Joy in the Northwest are your planners, as well as Zach also covers the Northwest, but for Mill Creek, I believe it's Joy, and John probably supports. But we have 12 planners, planners who work out throughout the state, and they offer support in community planning and technical assistance, up to 400 hours of no cost to you technical assistance on community planning initiatives. And I won't get into that because that's not what we're here to talk about, but that is a fairly new program that is also very popular. We also provide a ton of training and through handbooks and guidebooks. Home rule and optional form of government is one of them, and I think actually you may have a couple of pages out of one of our guidebooks on the township's website as a resource. We use these often, and they cover everything. If you haven't had a chance, I would suggest anyone who's interested to look in on our website. These are available for download, and they cover I think we have about 50 or so manuals, but you can see elective office, tax collectors, auditor's guide. We also have all the borough codes, the township codes, pretty much all of the laws that pertain to municipalities also available. And we try to we don't maintain the laws, we're not legislators. That's a totally different part of the state, but we do try to create guides that make those laws a little bit more easier to understand. I wanted to keep this in here. We also maintain municipal statistics reporting. That's where every municipality enters their annual financial report and audits information, along with a lot of a wealth of information. And we just maintain the system. You can find every municipality's, if they are submitting them like they're supposed to, not all do, some miss deadlines. They're all of their audits and financial reports for, I don't know how long the system goes back quite a ways, so you can kind of see trends. We use this information internally to help identify any areas that we see as potential problems. If we see municipalities are using a lot of their reserves, or they're working at a deficit, that just gives us information that we can use to do outreach and to see if there's any of the programs that I just discussed, if there's any of the programs that we could assist the municipality that we see some financial distress on our end. But it's used by a lot of different people. It's not just a DCD requirement. It is used by researchers, it's used by legislators, all that information. And then we also maintain all the other e-filing forms for the Uniform Construction Code, permit filings, and demolition fund. We also have created last year we created a training series that our specialists manage and present. Here's a list of the core trainings. These are free of charge. We send out invitations. We have about one a month. And we had over 3,000 mostly elected officials, about 3,000 people attend these trainings over the years. So we see it as extremely popular. Last year was the first year that we took this in-house and did it ourselves. We continue to add different topics as necessary, but you know, it's not just for elected officials. If anyone is interested in just popping in and learning more about chart of accounts and budget and finance, what the organizational meeting is on an annual basis for your township, you're more than welcome to join in. So I wanted to showcase this because we are so proud of how successful it has been, and to help 3,000 elected officials and staff in 1 year has been just a tremendous outcome of that work. And so with that, I will stop sharing my screen. Now you know who we are. We have been chatting with the committee a little bit, and so we're here to offer, any support or assistance or guidance as you go through this very important work that you're doing on behalf of the township.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to thank you, Kathy, for the presentation. I didn't know if anybody had any questions, any additional questions from the committee that you'd like to ask.
Kathy, you mentioned the peer support that is available, and I'm sure that would be very beneficial to incoming council members. I would hope that whoever is hired for the new manager would have a pretty good grasp of what is going to be required of them. But does DCED see that much where they actually have to go in and help out a new manager in what would be a new position?
We certainly have. Bethany will have more experience. Sometimes it's a new borough manager who just needs a little extra support. A lot of times it's a new secretary who needs support. Finances is a big part of it. Brian, I'm glad you reminded me of what I should have said. Is there a new council that will be formed? The training series I just went over is great for them because in 1 year they're going to basically get through everything that is required for their job if they've never held an elected office. So certainly getting the council on our mailing list as soon as they're seated would be an excellent, my brother keeps calling me now, so it would be an excellent way to get them trained up. But we do, the peer program is well used. It's for lots of different reasons. Bethany, do you want to talk a little bit more about your experience?
Yeah, so our peer program is activated just by a simple request for technical assistance through our website. Like Kathy said, it's at no cost to the municipality, so it is really easy to activate for us. The only thing we ask is that you're up to date with your audit submissions, and so as long as everything's turned in properly, then they can activate some support there. And it would be, for really any municipal role, it could be for the manager themselves to help them figure that out, or any of your, if you're moving department heads or any of those kinds of things. We have folks pretty much from every discipline we could deploy depending on what the question is. So what we would ask for the request for technical assistance would just be to outline what kind of help you need, and then we would match you with folks with the right expertise to bring in. So we would determine a number of hours, a certain entity, and then we would just leverage that person as an extension of our staff to sit with folks on staff and help provide support as needed. So we could ask them to get up to date on your new form of government, all of those kinds of things, and be ready to help adjust with that transition as well. So we have a handful of folks in that region, and we'd be happy to talk with them a little bit ahead of time if the new council thinks it would be helpful to do that with the new manager.
Hey, Bethany, I'm going to look this way, I guess, right now, right? And again, I know we talked a little bit about this upstairs and understanding that 99%, probably 0.5% of this for the optional plan is already written. But there are some, again, I can kind of say we're cooking the steak, it's already done, but we got to put a little salt on it. So as this administrative code gets written, again, I think it would be awesome, again, to be able to bounce maybe something off of you guys. Again, understanding that might be just a 5-minute, hey, check this out thing. But again, having another set of eyes that have done this before as this thing is getting written, I think that would be pretty, just a really helpful, useful thing for us. Because again, you did kind of talk about some of the little minor nuances with kind of that administrative code, even though most of that is written.
Yeah, that's absolutely, I think I heard most of that. It's a little
sorry.
broken, but I think Bethany's actually shared some existing administrative code. We got most of it, I think. If I get the answer wrong, it's because I didn't hear it all. But we've shared, we're happy to share, and that's the beauty of the center, is that we have experience working across the entire state of Pennsylvania, so we have a wonderful resource of things that we have seen and interacted with. So administrative codes from other second-class townships that have done this. We have those available to share. We can't offer legal advice, but we did point out, here's some things that we have seen as best practices. We've done that with, from our planning standpoint, we do that quite often with, they'll send us zoning changes or changes to land development proposals, or not proposals, but land development saldos, and say, hey, do you see any problems with this, or can you share examples of where this is being done elsewhere? We're happy to share that information. It doesn't require a formal request like a peer program would, or any of our other applications. It's just a matter of connecting you with our specialist in your area. And if she doesn't have the answer, she sends it up through the chain and asks us for input. We're happy to provide that.
Kathy or Bethany, as we go forward, and if there's a consultant hired or by the supervisors to help with all the things that need done, do you need permission from the supervisors to talk to a consultant talk directly to you? How would that work as things would progress? Do you need authorization from somebody?
I mean, it all depends on the engagement. If we were doing it through the formal sort of peer program, that would be a formal request from supervisors. When we've helped with study missions in the past, or when we've sat in consultants in the past, usually it's sort of an invitation from someone authorized at the municipality to make that request. And so, the supervisors have given you guys that ability to make that request of us, then we can respond to that. I think we kind of answer questions from everybody. If a resident calls us, and council calls us, the committee calls us, we often offer very sort of unemotional answers. We pull it out of the code, and we share with you what the code says, and try to point you in the right direction for your research. And if there's something that requires further research, we can help with that. We tend to just not get involved in the political conversations at the end of the day. So I think it's really sort of a on-call service, and we answer sort of the same way to a resident as we would to a member of a supervisor. So I think it all depends on the engagement. If it was something more consistent, we would probably just make sure that the supervisors were comfortable with it, as they're also our stakeholders. Then as long as that's the case, then we could plug in as needed. But we don't typically require any sort of resolution or ordinance or even authorization to show up necessarily to a meeting. We just need to make sure we're not making people mad.
Thank you.
Bethany, I have one question. You referred to the audit. Is the township up to date with that audit you referred to, so we can get the peer-to-peer education? Just for clarification. Okay.
But let me double check on that. I can put it up right now. You do it
Thank you.
for the
I'd be
name.
shocked.
I would be shocked, but
Yeah, I have it open.
You can also see that yourself. I mean, we're not going to make you do it, but you can go online on our website and see who is every municipality and where they stand with their audits.
oh, well, thank you.
It does look like we're missing your 2025 audit, which was due on April 1st. And so that would cause some hesitation. There can be exceptions requested for sort of urgency or just other things, but we'd have to get sort of approval before that 2025 audit is in. But as soon as that's in, then we can activate it.
For any of our programs, we can talk to you without your audit, and obviously, we didn't check your status before getting on this call, but yeah.
Stir in the pot.
It's just verifying.
Click.
It's not unusual for lots of municipalities to miss that April 1st deadline. It doesn't become a significant issue for a municipality until December 31st, because January 1, you get flagged in our system. You don't get access to any of the funds DCD has, or our services. So it does become a little bit of a barrier if you don't have it in by then. But I highly encourage you to get it in, the township to get it in as soon as they can.
We'll pass it along.
I know that upstairs we were talking a little bit about
Just for the TV, you're the.
we were talking about the administrative code a good bit, and I was going to ask the question, who is typically in this situation, a second-class township going into the optional plan law, who typically is writing that administrative code?
It's typically question, I think, is the hard one to answer because I think it's done in a number of ways. People were responsible to adopt the administrative code ahead of the 2020 enaction of the new form of government is the Board of Supervisors. And so whoever the Board of Supervisors designates as the person responsible for that would be the people to move forward with it. But according to the optional plans law, it is the Board of Supervisors responsible for the adoption of that. So how that gets done is up to them.
I guess I was just assuming like it is someone with a legal background usually.
There's definitely a component of it that would require legal review at some point. The degree to which a solicitor or someone with a legal background would review it is also supervisors, but, you know, it would be our recommendation to have a legal review of it before it would be adopted, because there is so much of it that has to do with legal interpretation of the optional plans law as well as township code. So you want to make sure that you're compliant in all ways before it gets adopted.
Anything
And
else?
that would probably be the case, I would assume, standard protocol for any ordinance that the supervisor is drafting is if they draft it themselves or if they have staff draft it, they would most likely ask for a legal review at minimum.
Anything else, guys? Good.
We good? Well, I think that's all for the questions. Thank you both for joining us, especially on the eve of the holiday, taking your time out, and for your offer of help, and I'm sure we'll be in touch at some point.
Thank you. We're here to offer any support that you deem necessary, so feel free to reach out. Matt has my number. That's how we got here, so happy to come back in and talk to you or provide resources as needed. So thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful July 4th and stay cool if you can.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, all.
Okay, let's kind of move this along here. So from our subcommittee reports, I know that there really wasn't, we didn't have a lot of time between the last two. I think there was a lot of talk on kind of the RFP. So, you know, the manager search committee I know did not meet yet, and I know we've been kind of knee deep here in the kind of the administrative code. So I think we can kind of, if you guys are all right, to kind of jump to 6. And I think that this is kind of important. I don't know, Cody, do you want to start? I can then maybe go after you, and then,
Of course, yep. So I reached out to the Board of Elections and also to the county council solicitor as well for advice, just to make sure.
Cody, just make sure it's closer
Yep.
so everybody can.
And make sure that the township was ready for the election coming up in 2027 for the primary, and make sure we had everything submitted as we had heard prior. He did clarify that and sent back a nice email saying that the 2 positions for the 4-year will be there, as well as the 1 position for the 2-year position for the council members, the future council members would be able to run for. So I think it was right on point with what we wanted to make sure that everything was okayed with the county and everything was already okayed with the Board of Elections. He also passed along communications from Michael Foreman that everything was already kind of in line before that, and he did extensive work with the study commission to make sure that the county was ready for this transition to happen as it is. So
And I don't know, I just want to make sure that we just have this clear, just one time, kind of throw it out in public, and then, I don't want to say we'll be done with it, but kind of be done with it. So, again, not to confuse kind of what I think a lot of people thought. Currently, how this is set up at the county and how you would run is there's 2 4-year positions and 1 2-year position. You would file to run for a 4-year and or a 2-year, but they are separate. So you run in the primary, the top 2 vote getters for the 4-year would run on would get the nod from the Republican and Democrat side. The person who would have the highest vote getter on the 2-year would then get the 2-year spot, Republican and Democrat, and then there would be a runoff for the top 2 in the 4, and the top 2, which would be 1 then, right, the top 1 for the 2-year out of those 2, if that makes sense. So there's some other things that we can get into with questions if you run for the 4 and the 2. I don't think we need to get into that now, but that is scoped out as well. But that's kind of the high level. I think so everybody we have that down. That is at the county. They're good. That's how they're going to proceed with it. So I think at least we check the box on that and everything is good down there.
I was gonna say,
Do we see then our next step with that, putting that on our website?
I think that makes sense, Matt. I think if we could do that, to just be like, you know, in that FAQ kind of,
Should we just, let's say, reference the information that we received from Attorney, it was Talarico, right? From Attorney Talarico, just, this is what we received from the county.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like we're making anything up.
Right.
This is what the county told us.
CYA.
Right.
Yes, so, and we do, we kind of have, I don't want to say a memo of understanding, but he kind of just scripted out exactly what we said. That's what the county has, that's how they plan to proceed. So, you know, I think from our purpose, we're done, at least 'cause we wanted to make sure we
Then
checked it.
if there is when the time comes when there are prospective candidates, and if they so wish, they can either check with the county or they can check with our website, and
Both of them will have
both will have
the same exact information.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just mention that that surprised me. It was not how I thought it was gonna be. I thought it
Me
was
both.
top 3 total number of votes, but then just interesting that people will need to file twice. And then there's the whole thing about filling the empty position if the person's on the 4-year and the 2-year. But yeah, so that was just quite different from how I thought it would be. And then just a note that I think it was Lydia earlier today said that Lawrence Park did go through something like this just a year or 2 ago. So if we wanted to reference what that looked like, I think it's, I think she said look at what Lawrence Park did.
School boards, so these kind of elections were the same kind of thing, where there's a 4-year and a 2-year, and then if somebody didn't, if they both got elected, or one person got elected to both, that you have to choose, and then the council then would have to appoint someone.
Yeah.
After 30 days or not. But I would suggest questions to the courthouse.
Yeah.
May
Oh,
I
Matt,
just
go.
wanted
Yeah,
to,
yeah, go.
you know, put a bow on that. Yes, I will add that to the website so that it's up there. This is also, I think, one of the things that kind of had envisioned when we were talking about the initial scope of work after the first of the year, especially with the administrative code and the duties, and then how the election will work. That would be really good information for us to try and publicize and get out as much as possible to the public so everybody's set and ready for the election.
Well, no, 100%. And again, like Kylie said, I mean, I think there are, I was under the impression the top 3, but that's kind of how it is. So I just want to make sure that, you know, nobody's confused with that, at least from our committee. It's out there, it'll be on the website now, and we're good. Okay, let's move to kind of the meat. I think this is kind of the main thing that we wanted to kind of do today, and let me kick this thing off, and then, again, want everyone's opinion here. So my thought, and I think the thoughts of many here, was that the administrative code, while, again, it is 99% written, still needs to be done. It still needs to be put into, you know, a format that it is Mill Creek's. It needs to be the kind of the set of rules that we're going to go by. The thought process is to send a request for proposal out to, and I have the names here that I can get into, but basically 3 or 4 local Erie municipal law firms, experts that are into this and do this, and then 3 statewide consultant groups that do this professionally. And then at least my thought process, speaking for me, is to try to get the best price for Mill Creek. Let's see what they come back with, understanding that this is not rocket science. We're not reinventing the Constitution. This is just basically taking what is in the law and kind of making it finalized for Mill Creek. So I just believe that we are doing the best service to the citizens of Mill Creek from a financial standpoint. If we go get the information, at least ask the supervisors to send us out to get the information, to get the best possible price that we can to do this, and then hopefully present that back to the supervisor. We included the solicitor as well, so no one is being left out. This isn't anti-anyone. I think that this is trying to be as pro-Mill Creek as we possibly can be. Having said that, I will be quiet. Let you guys, if there's anything else that anyone would like to say. We did kind of have a final draft that I think everybody at least kind of gave their blessing on. I do have a couple extra copies here as well, if anybody, you know, needs that. Matt, I know you had.
I should have one.
Awesome, appreciate it.
Their spot.
But with that, I'll open it up for anybody who would like to say anything.
I thought it was, so I liked the chance to ask the DCED questions earlier today, and I I wish that, just answer of, well, what usually happens? Just guide me, but I understand where she's coming from of it's hard to say what usually happens. But I was just thinking of, usually would this go out for an RFP? I'm guessing the answer is no. Just because, and not that we have to use one specific law firm or anything, but that if we were like, oh, hey, we know this lawyer who's really good at municipal law, and because it's a specialized work, it could go directly to them without looking at the bids or something like that, just asking them, well, what do you charge for it? Something like that.
Why? I mean, why would we do that? Or why won't we add them into it? Why wouldn't we just add them to this then? Do you know somebody who's absolutely great at this? I guess that's what we're doing. All we're doing right now is getting information. That's it. We're just trying to get numbers. And if we hate the numbers, then we move on to plan B. But again, I don't see any reason not to ask the supervisors to send this out to get information. And to your point, if we find something different, this doesn't tie us really to anything other than getting information.
My understanding is that typically information gathering is not this formal. It's not in the form of an RFP usually.
I'm saying that that's the worst case scenario. My goal would be to choose one of these people unless there's a disaster, unless something came back and it's $250,000, which it's not going to be, right? So
Correct.
My vote would be, I think we covered enough bases here. I don't know anyone else in Erie, and I don't know any other consultant in the state of Pennsylvania that does this, that we're not sending this to. I'm sure there's other attorneys that we could send that to, more than willing to add that to it. But again, my goal would be get the best price, have the best person, because the people on here are the people who are going to do it anyway. Make them at least bid off of each other a little bit, or at least think they have to bid off each other, get the best price, see what that number is, and then bring that possibly to the supervisors if we think that that number is right.
I'm looking at this just a little bit different than you are, Tom, in that we're an advisory committee who are, after this vote, if the committee so chooses, to submit what we think we would like to have the supervisors send out for a request for proposals. Who they send it to is up to them.
100%.
We have a group that we are offering as suggestions that we think could do the work, and this is what we suggest you ask for. And then it's going to be up to the Board of Supervisors to mark this up and say, no, we want this, this, and this instead of what you have here, and we want to add these people to who we're going to send it to, and maybe take a couple people out. But all we're doing is saying, this is our suggestion, and you can run with it or not.
Right, I totally agree. Again, and that's a caveat. Again, we are nothing. All we're doing is advising. Nothing in a good way, right? But all we're doing is advising. I totally agree. They could mark this up, and I know the solicitor, I'm sure, is going to add to this, right? We even took some things out kind of at the end from, kind of more of the legalese. 100%. I mean, so the plan that I would have is, if you guys agree and we vote on this, I would go to the supervisor meeting and, Brian, almost say what you're saying. Hey, this is what we are proposing, do what you need to do with it, but we'd like to kind of send this out to get this ball rolling. But yes, at the end of the day, it's up to them.
If I may.
Yeah.
I understand the need or want for an RFP, just like, and I'm going to put this in more, I think, everyday citizens. I think sometimes we tend to forget a lot of people don't come to all these meetings and listen. So if I want my house painted, I go in and get 3 quotes, and I get it painted by the best price. That's what we're trying to do. My problem with the RFP, though, is in the one thing it says, all revisions must be reviewed by the township solicitor. So we're going to pay him anyways. So I go and get the best price to have my house painted, have it painted, and then he comes along and paints it again. I don't want to pay twice.
I hear you, but that's going to happen anyway.
Right, so why don't we just pay him once?
because they're different, they're gonna be different. He said that at the last supervisor, right? This is outside the normal scope. This would be a separate,
We're still going to pay him
and
regardless.
but we're sending it to them, right? We're sending that to his law firm. They can do that. And then he's going to have to check it again. There's money in the budget to do that. So whether you pay our solicitor twice, right, or you pay somebody and then the solicitor, it's gonna be done both ways.
Didn't have supervisors in their budget for, I could be wrong, but at one of the meetings, the solicitor is supposed to be getting paid to do the revisions.
There
to the code.
was money, and Kylie, I'll let you, maybe you know more than this, but there was money given for this, but it's allocated for it, but I think some of that, or all of that is not there that was used for other things.
Yeah, all I know is that they said that whatever would have been allocated on the line of the legal expenses, they added some more,
I just don't want to pay.
given that we're going through this
I just want to be paying for
process.
something multiple times. Like, this is a pet peeve of mine.
Wouldn't-
As an Erie County citizen, we pay for 911 as Erie County citizens. Then we pay for it as Melker Township citizens. We just paid $2,000 some for an antenna for Melker Township to upgrade and we keep paying. And if you have multiple platforms, you pay for 911 over and over and over. I just don't want us to get caught paying for this over and over and over.
What if, I mean, that would be a huge selling point if McDonald Illig wanted to do this work. Hey, you don't have to do it twice, this is the number. That's what we're getting.
Right.
So that number, I would hope that they would say that, because it's going to them, so
That's
you
all I'm
wouldn't have
worrying
to do it.
about. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to
no,
highlight.
well,
Okay? I don't want you to think I'm against it. I just don't want
Yeah.
to pay for it over and over.
Well, and you said something that it would be paying our solicitor twice? If they did the work, how would it be paying them twice?
Well, I mean, I don't know how that would work, other than it would be outside the normal scope of what the solicitor does.
So I think it's just a matter of,
But again, we don't know that number, and that's the number that we're trying to
Wasn't
get.
it budgeted for, though, is my question. I think it was in one of the meetings.
There was money set aside, but again, I don't know how much that is.
Yeah, and I don't know either, and I just wanted to, make it clear that because of the way the PA law is, the supervisors have to adopt a budget before the end of the previous year, so Supervisor Morris wasn't involved in the budget talk. So I just wanted to, make sure everybody knows that whatever was added or talked about Kylie wasn't involved in that, just so. But you're right, there was some, and I don't know that number either, because I wasn't privy to those conversations.
All right, anything else before I think we should roll call this vote. I mean, is that, John, you?
Yeah, I think,
give them the mic.
I think we need to, separate what you're talking about is the solicitor review. That's certainly something that has to be done, and it certainly should be from a the lawyer from the municipality. But before that, I mean, to keep the baseline even, to keep it even, we have a set of standards. Let's call them standards. And anybody that we're proposing, giving to them as a recommendation, is qualified to do the pre-work. The pre-work being the busy work. Go get this code, change it to whatever it is. Anyone here, anyone that we're going to give this to, is qualified to do that. And why wouldn't we want the lowest cost for that? To save the voters money. And I think this is the evening out of that.
I don't have a
service.
problem with saving money. I just don't want to pay for it over and over. That's all.
You wouldn't pay for it twice.
Well, regardless, the solicitor will still have to review it.
Yeah, right. That's a given.
I think that if McDonald Illig submits the best price on this, they're going to know they're going to have to review it. Well, why would they then charge to review their own work?
That's a benefit.
And why would...
Logical.
Yes.
And in the same vein, Attorney Shaw, if he was to do the work, he wouldn't have to then review his own work.
Somebody needs to.
So you're saying he's either incompetent
Well,
or he's up to something illegal?
Yes.
All right, listen, again. I think opinions are pretty well known here. I know we've been just kind of yay and naying, but go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I just was going to say, I wasn't sure if you were going to call for the vote. Before you do, might just want to ask if anybody has any other additions or changes, sorry.
I swear to God, if there's additions or change.
Need a motion
I swear to God.
submit this? You need a motion to submit this to, okay? I would move that the RFP be submitted to the Board of Supervisors. The new draft, yes.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Now we can have discussion.
And I don't have any particular, I just
is
thought
there
that's
any
something that-
changes or anything that is glaring on this thing? I know we beat it to death, that anyone would like to bring to the order.
I think the line, I went through the last one and this one, and I didn't see anything obviously glaring, so I
Okay.
have, fine with it.
I will point out that I think I mentioned that the travel costs are in here, and I didn't understand why that was separate from what the lump sum would have been that they were.
Well, some people have to come farther, I mean.
Well, but shouldn't that be added into the lump?
Well, if we want it for additional meetings, things like that. I think it's good to know what that charge is.
Like if we asked for multiple, I don't know why we would, but if we said, hey, can you come up? And then, hey, can you come up again? Like that might be outside of what they had. So now that's just a separate line item. So travel could be, that's why that was.
I wouldn't see any travel being
But again, this is like a contract, right? You're covering for,
Yeah.
it's not a contract.
If it's zero, it's zero.
Right.
That's good. But at least it's separate, and we can identify it and look at it.
Sorry, I'm just trying to think here about how this will look when it's out there, and what we will get back just to ensure that we are comparing apples to apples. I'm just trying to, sorry, I'm trying to consider how this is structured. Normally, when we bid something out, it's either like a flat fee not to exceed, or it's time and materials, or, however. I guess, are we thinking, just so we know when the RFP goes out, that it's structured the right way, do we want to have everybody give their cost to complete the code as a lump sum, the single flat fee as
Correct.
it's listed there? And then, do we want, to ask for costs for any additional meetings? Because, so follow me here, somebody from Pittsburgh gets it, and in their price, they plan we're gonna be at the township, we're gonna travel to Mill Creek 3 times. That's gonna be in their lump sum, along with everybody else's lump sum. But then if we feel like we want additional meetings, they're gonna charge us $300, and maybe a firm from Philly is gonna charge us $7. So we're comparing the lump sum to get everything with however meetings they wanna offer. And then if we want additional, we can also compare those prices.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep going down that road, but I think we did say that this would be broken up as well, that we are going to meet basically with them section by section of the administrative code. So again, would we have to have extra meetings for that? I don't
think that we said we're going to meet.
Just we would talk that through.
They have to submit section by section
Correct.
so that we can consult.
Exactly. So again, I mean, it's up to what you guys think. I don't see that as a need to add, but.
And so much of it is done video
Correct.
conferencing.
Correct.
I think that's the majority of it.
Right.
Yeah. One other thing to consider is that if this goes to the supervisors is, usually I believe an RFP is published somewhere so that it's not just that. And so I was thinking about, someone brought up to me that there would be typically a selection criteria that didn't just include cost, but perhaps scoring whether it was someone who really should be doing the work as well.
Yeah, I mean,
That gets, sorry? Yeah.
I guess we can do that, but it's not going to matter. I mean, because the supervisors would have to actually choose, right? So we can do that as a committee, but technically it's them that would have to do that because they're the one that's actually going to pay the bill or
So,
select the actual group.
to add on a
now I
rubric
think
or
you're right.
something?
I think we should do that, and we can create that as well. I mean, we have a month to create kind of a rubric for our own, and I think Dennis said it too, right? This probably isn't just, and maybe it's the lowest cost, but it's the best firm, right? So, lowest cost, most qualified, and kind of even those things out. I think we can do that as a committee with some type of rubric or with some type of kind of vetting as we kind of, are waiting for this stuff to come back. Like, I don't think that we should wait to do a rubric before we give this to the supervisors and wait until August, September to do this.
No, I agree, we should submit this to them now, and then they can decide.
100%, but
Please submit it to them.
yes. But I think that's something we can do, Kylie, to make sure that, again, I think we're all on the same page with what we want to present as the, whatever, finalists to the supervisors. And again, they could yay or nay it, but we have to give them something.
And there was discussion, I don't know, last meeting maybe, about putting this on our website. Well, that wouldn't happen until after the supervisor said, okay, this is the final draft, this is what we're going to send out, and then we could put it.
And I'm sure, I mean, with the study commission, when that RFP went out, there was a lot of things that were added to it from the solicitor. So I'm sure that's going to happen to this as well. So, Brian, I totally agree. Like, they're going to have to approve it. I don't know how that works. A week so before that goes out, they can look at it and then we'll see. I mean,
The
I
next
think,
meeting is 6 o'clock at the end of the month, so at the very least, we need to,
we thought that through.
9:30 on the 14th, yeah.
I'm getting wishful thinking, getting ahead of myself. We need to submit it though, and let them at least look at it.
Anything else for the good of the order?
One of the other things,
Yep.
Tom, and I don't know if we should do it now or later, is looking at the consultants that we're looking at. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we want to recommend 5? They all can do that. I've talked to most of them. I've emailed a couple of them. And Mary Ammon from DCED gave me a couple of leads for this too. So I think these are all legit, but is that something we want to include in this motion?
So, for the good of the order, this is what we have. And again, you can take off, we had Elderkin, Knox, McDonald Illig, ALOM, Keystone Municipal Services, and Kafferland Strategies. So there's 6 firms that I'm saying that this is recommending. That can change. We can add, supervisors can do what they want, but those were the 3 that we found from a consultant standpoint as the best. And then obviously those are the local municipal law firms that do solicitor work and do this type of work.
And where else the supervisor deem that they want to send it to?
Or not send it to.
And I guess I'll just throw this in here because I was bordering on mentioning it, but it will end up on the township website because we usually do put any open RFPs for anybody. And then I will also place it on the
Perfect.
transition committee website. So it will be there too if anybody else hears about it and wants to, respond.
And
for the public to
if we do vote on this, and it's good, where would that come up in on the communication? Do you know where that would come? Would it be a line item in the agenda, or would it be under something?
If it was something for the supervisors to vote on, it would be a line item.
Okay. All right, are we good? We ready? We want to vote on this? Do we want to go a roll call?
If that's how you'd like
Yeah, I
to
think
do it, I
let's-
have
let's-
everybody alphabetically here. You want me to?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Or, ready?
Yep.
Okay, John DePlacido,
Yes.
Cody Faust,
Oh, yes.
Tom Laird,
Yes.
Dennis McAndrew,
As is, yes.
Brian McGrath,
Yes.
Kylie Morris,
No?
Matthew Waldinger, yes.
Okay, so next step then, and I'm asking this. For me, I send this then to the 3 supervisors. How does that work, Matt,
Yeah, I think you would probably send this along with an email or a request to
Get covered,
to
yeah.
Jim Bach, and obviously I would consider, you'd copy Kim and Kylie, just asking to be placed on the agenda for consideration for the 14th.
Okay.
The chair sets the agenda. I would copy our secretary to Megan Moore, and I can give you
Okay.
her info as well.
Okay. All right, moving to agenda item number 8, and again, I think, this was kind of the main thing. The only other thing that I think in my head is kind of outstanding right now. And I don't know, Kylie, maybe you or Matt, if you can help. And again, I know we talked to the general code people about the administrative code, but can we see if we can get a quote for them? And again, if you guys have done this, tell me to shut up. A quote for the amending of the ordinances, right?
You mean like yeah, changing everything
Correct.
at the end and getting it all together?
I don't say codifying because you yelled at me, so I said amending.
But well, that's why I'm asking, I'm sorry.
Changing the terminology.
I would think that that is part of with what would happen with the admin code too, is where you're talking about making sure that wherever it says Board of Supervisors, it means either council or manager.
Correct. And again, I know we can't do that yet.
Yeah.
Right, because we have
Right.
to have, but if we can get, we have time.
Yeah.
If we can just maybe ask and like, again, I want to just make sure they do it. I think they do. Everybody
Okay.
says they do.
Yeah.
And then if there is anything from a cost, because we're going to have to get that when we go to the supervisors for a budget for next year to try to get something.
Okay, yeah, I did reach out, I didn't hear anything back from them yet, but I'll try again.
So, Tom, what you're saying is after all the admin, after all the work is done and in some sort of final format to be approved, after that, there's a cost to make it official, whatever, put it physically into the codes. Isn't that cost covered automatically by the supervisors?
And that, right, what you just described is the codification, where all the different ordinances that are adopted in a year are put together in that main code. And that is something that is done every year by the supervisors. I believe we do budget for it because every year we're passing new ordinances or changing things. And then once a year,
But this
they all
would,
get
this would be
codified.
a change to all of them as well, right? It's the changing of the power structure from supervisor, because all the ordinances say that, and a lot of them say Board of Supervisors or, right, to make them say manager.
Right, but, so that would have to be written up in its own ordinance. You know, there would be an ordinance to change all of these and mention each section where it gets changed. And then that ordinance gets passed by the new council. And then for all of those changes to be made online and everywhere else the code is, that's the codification where they take
Right,
that
right.
and make all the corrections.
Now that it has been codified years ago, everything should be able to be word searched.
Yes, yeah, it's just edits that they make,
that's all-
but they
right,
do
that's all
charge
I'm
a
saying.
fee to do that, to compile all the new stuff. And like I said, that is a budgeted expense and something we do every year because we're always passing new ordinances and
Now,
things.
instead of just changing dates or some verbiage, they're going to be
Just be
changing
more.
more.
Yeah. And that
Well,
is
that's
the
even better then.
codification
Right.
that's budgeted for.
But that's a 2028 cost, so.
Just trying to stay ahead of this thing. Okay, yeah, because I think, again, for the budgeting for 2028, we're going to need, again, I'm not saying budget's not what we're saying. We're going to need a line item payment for something with that, right? Maybe the codification, maybe that's already done, but we just have to make sure we understand that. And then for some type of search firm for the manager, I think really that's, as for right now, those are what we would ask for 2028 when 2027's budget things come up. Just want to throw that out there. We're not there yet, but this, I think the administrative code is the only thing that we need done this year.
So what you're saying is you want them to start thinking in the future of
That's it.
setting money aside.
Yeah,
To
that's
be
it.
clear.
Right, just thinking,
You
thinking.
just want the supervisors to start thinking of their budget for
next year.
2028.
Which I believe this is the time of the year the directors start looking at next year's budget.
Right. So you're not spending anything, you just want them to be aware.
100%,
Thank you.
100%. Okay, moving to go ahead, Matt. I'm
Sorry, dude, can I just a couple things
Yeah, please.
for the general? First, I just wanted to let everybody on the committee know that I did edit the website. We do have that email address now, transition@millcreektownship.com. On the website, I created a form that people can go in and enter if they have any questions. They'll be compiled and put together, and we can talk about how those are answered and posted back up. But, you know, they'll be posted on anonymously, you know, and kind of aggregated as questions. So that is available. It's up there on the website. Hopefully we can get the word out. Nobody has submitted any yet, so it's been up
Yeah,
since
we'll have to
after
get the word
last
out on it too.
Yeah, and we can talk to the township social media about that. One more, I just had a general question, just because I was curious myself. I happened to notice that you guys spoke at Spring Hill a couple weeks ago.
We did.
Yeah, and so just wondered if that was like as part of the committee, and if those opportunities come up again, could we all maybe have an opportunity, I think, to participate in things like that, if it's committee related?
Yeah, I mean, we probably maybe should have said, I thought we said something at the last meeting that we were going to go up there. That was one. But yeah, we just gave an update on where we were at. So yeah, I mean, in the future, I mean, we can definitely have that discussion. I'm almost positive, Matt, that we said that we were heading up tomorrow because we had a meeting, I believe, the Thursday before. But yeah, that's kind of what we.
Yeah, and
Maybe
maybe I
update.
missed it. That's on me. But yeah, I just thought it would be something that I think maybe everybody might be interested in taking part in.
Yeah, no, 100% noted. Gotcha. Okay, citizens to be heard. Number 9. Anybody would like to share?
I would.
RJ, sure.
Oh, sorry.
My name is Edith Benson. I'm a retired attorney, and I've lived in Mill Creek for probably over 40 years. I want to say a couple of things here. This is my first meeting of the Transitional Advisory Committee. And as I listened to the dialogue tonight, I thought about 250 years, 2 days from today, the Declaration of Independence. And I just thought, you know what? This conversation is not inclusive, even among you guys, but it's not inclusive to encourage everybody to express an opinion and to listen thoughtfully. And I'm disappointed, especially when we are on July the 4th, we'll be observing our 250th anniversary. That's one. I want to make that very, very clear. 2, I look at the composition of this committee, and I'm thinking, Lord God, 250 years since the Declaration. We won't talk about what happened when the Pilgrims arrived, etc. But I'm looking at, hey, look, when the people push for a change in structure of government in Mill Creek, and I was not one of those individuals, I'm thinking, this is an opportunity now to make Mill Creek government reflective of the community. And I have sat and lived in Mill Creek long enough to know, when I look at this here group of individuals, look at you, males, essentially, except for one lady who happens to be a supervisor, right? White. And so who's there to reflect those of us who are a minority and may think somewhat differently than you may think, based on life experiences and how we've been treated? So I want you to keep that in mind. This advisory committee needs to be reflective of all of us who live and reside in Mill Creek. The other thing I want you to keep in mind is, and I don't know, I've seen this one gentleman at a township meeting earlier in the year, but if most of you are Mill Creek employees, then you need to step back and allow the citizens to be the voice, especially those who advocated for change in structure. And remember, I was not one of those, but if you are on the staff here in Mill Creek Township, and there are issues, you may not believe this, but there are issues that need to be addressed by this community, it is time for us to have voices that you listen to. And I want to talk about this here. I'm looking at this agenda. and it says, item 9, citizens to be heard. Well, that's after you just did a critical vote here. I believe even the township, unless they've changed it, supervisors had citizens' input way up on the top of the agenda. So I would have said to you, as an attorney, a retired attorney, I would have said to you, hey, look, don't send out that proposal now, and especially to the law firms that you're thinking about. You need to know. Well, the minorities are given a chance, especially minorities attorneys and women attorneys, to become advisors. You need to know where this gentleman raised, are we paying them more than once? That's a perfectly valid question. So I hope the supervisors, they may get your recommendation, but I hope they turn it down, because we really need to make sure that there are many people at the table and that we're given all an opportunity to set forth our opinions. And remember, they may be different than yours. I certainly hope that this is an opportunity that you can take when you're structuring the government, that you say we're going to be inclusive of everybody who lives in this community and pay taxes in this community, and have done so. And we need to have the township building, the township staff, be reflective, like I said, of this community. So again, I point out to you, the advisory committee needs to take heart to what happened almost 250 years when the Declaration of Independence, and remember, even at that time, it was all men, all white men, and they excluded women from the right to vote, and they looked at minorities, and basically they continued our status of slavery in effect. That's basically what's it. But you have the opportunity now, having all that history, to do things differently. And so I hope that you'll think long and hard, and you look at yourselves and you realize, hey, look, we are all, except for a female, we are all white men, and we may not know what 51 plus or more of our citizens are thinking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Candy Horn. I am a resident of Mill Creek. May I ask you, Ms. Morris, why did you vote no on the RFP?
I do feel like it was addressed during our discussion.
I must have missed it. Could you enlighten me again?
Candy, she doesn't have to right now. I mean, she can if she'd like, but
Okay, all right. Also, you are saying that the best price for these legal firms you're looking at, in my experience, best price does not always mean the best work. And why are you staying in town? Why are you not looking elsewhere? Because you know there is a conglomeration of the good old boy system here in Erie, Mill Creek, and that includes the law firms. So my own opinion is that your search should include out-of-town law firms that cannot be influenced by others. That was just one thing. And then are you going to be using, this presentation you had, are you going to be using the e-filing forms? Is the audit going to be on time this year?
yeah, I mean, that's a supervisor issue. That's not our purview. Like, that's the first time I ever heard of it, so I'm sure that will have to be brought up to them.
Okay, because it seems like our audits are always late, and, things that I had asked, the very first meeting I was at, I asked, why did McDonald Illigan Jones make $1.5 million? I was told I was wrong, it was a FOIA request.
Yeah.
And then I was told at the next meeting, oh, it was a computer glitch or a software glitch. So for a year and a half,
Candy, I don't want to shut you off, but again, when we
Okay.
kind of talked about this, I'd love to just keep it to what we're, like the transition committee. I know there's supervisor issues that a lot of people want to talk about with us, but
Right.
again, we can't do anything about it. So that'll be,
that
if
has
you
to
want
be
to bring that to
voted on
this.
by the supervisors.
Right, correct.
So everything that you had on this screen, on this presentation, has to be approved by the supervisors.
Correct, unless, I guess at the end, we could ask a question. But yeah, again, remember, we are just an advisory committee. We work under the supervisor. We have no legal power other than to, kind of do the homework, hopefully, and then present to them what our opinion of how to move this thing forward properly.
Okay, so then the other question I had, you had made a comment, like, if you request money for the RFP, that the supervisors pay the bill. It's the taxpayers that pay the bill. Supervisors might stroke out the check, but it's the taxpayers that pay the bill, and you're all into semantics, so I just wanted to make that clear. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, we did not appoint ourselves, and if I remember right, I heard there was 20 people that applied, so you could have, I don't know if you did or not apply for the position, and if you did, I'm sorry. If you didn't, sorry again. But out of the 54,000 residents in Melkirk, only 20 people applied. Of the 20, 7 of us are here. So we are trying our best. And I was never a lawyer, nor did I ever get paid as much as you. I'm just a schmuck citizen. So I'm trying my best to keep things for us the best I can. And my family has worked very hard to build Milk Creek. I'm the 3rd generation Milk Creek citizen. So I understand, so my family goes way back. So I really do care about everyone. Thank you.
Okay. I think that was good. We got a lot going. Ready, motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Yeah.